Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is out in theaters. This is the 8th movie in the franchise, presumably the last, but who knows really. It was originally going to be called The Dead Reckoning Part 2, being a direct sequel to the last film, but then after the release of Part 1, they removed the Part 1 subtitle and changed it to just The Dead Reckoning, and then changed this one to just The Final Reckoning. This was directed once again by Christopher McQuarrie, who made all the MI movies since the 4th one. Stars, of course, Tom Cruise, Hayley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, S.I. Morales, Pom Klementif, and a bunch of other recognizable faces in small supporting roles. The movie, as I said, is a direct follow-up to The Dead Reckoning. Starts 2 months after the events of that film. Ethan Hunt is on the run and in possession of the key which unlocks the core of the Russian submarine that contains the source code for the evil AI called, pretty poorly, the Entity. The Entity is already loose on the internet, causing chaos and havoc around the world and taking over the nuclear arsenals of all the countries, threatening apocalypse in just a few days. So Ethan and his crew have to race against time to find the submarine, break into it, steal the AI, and combine it with a virus created by Luthor in order to disable it permanently. So this is an incredibly uneven film. I'll start with the things which are wrong about it, which there are quite a few, surprisingly. One, the plot is just too needlessly convoluted and complicated, requiring numerous scenes of blatant exposition and characters saying things 5 times to the audience so that we can attempt to keep up. It also results in some straight up dumb scenes. Like at the end of Act 1, Gabriel he's the main villain. He infiltrates Ethan's headquarters to steal the virus and kill Luthor, ensuring that he doesn't create a copy. So, slight spoilers, but just be warned, all of this takes place before the opening credits even roll, so just bear with me. So Gabriel goes in, takes the virus from Luthor, who at the time is asleep and visibly sick in a hospital bed. Luthor then wakes up and walks into a trap set next door in a room where there's a nuclear bomb set to detonate in 15 minutes. If it goes off, the city of London, because they're underground beneath it, is destroyed entirely with millions of lives. If Luthor disables it, the bomb still partly goes off, killing him and collapsing the tunnels. My question is, why bother with transporting an entire nuclear device in there and setting up this elaborate trap? Why not just shoot Luthor, or stab him, or poison him, or strangle him, or whatever else? There is absolutely zero reason for the bomb to be put in there. In fact, it just adds unnecessary risk for Gabriel himself, because what if Luthor fails to disable it in time, or he fucks it up, or he has a heart attack? Then the entire city goes up in flames, and mate, you are not getting out safely out of London in 15 minutes, so you die as well. What is the point of all of this? Anyway, the entire first act is a giant mess. Just loads of exposition, flashbacks of clip shows from previous movies, and poorly written scenes. The movie only really picks up at the end of Act 1 when Ethan gets himself captured by the government, but until then it is really rough. In general, the amount of flashbacks to previous movies is egregious, and in some cases, like explaining to the audience who Bill is, shows a lack of respect for the audience to collect the dots on their own. On the other hand, there are also unnecessary callbacks, such as the reveal about Shea Whigham's character identity. It adds absolutely nothing to the story. It shouldn't be there. There's also a ridiculous number of times where different characters take turns to praise Ethan for being the best guy in the history of guys, and the only one that can save the world and prevent the catastrophe, and just all around it sounds like a massive circle jerk for Tom Cruise. There are some clunky things regarding the team for this film. For instance, I don't understand why Degas joins the team and why they drag him around. Also, Bill and his Inuit wife, who apparently has not been involved in any form of spycraft before and doesn't speak English. She joins the team for the rest of the film after they're both introduced, which leads to this absolutely hilarious scene where the Inuit wife has to participate in disabling another nuclear bomb. What a fever dream that is. Also, final point about the team members. I so wish, and I will forever regret, that Ilsa Faust was killed off as a result of scheduling conflicts for Rebecca Ferguson, because it is very, very, very clear that Grace fills the exact same role that she was playing. But as much as I like Hayley Atwell, she doesn't have the same presence and chemistry with Cruise that Rebecca Ferguson did. So it's a shame she's no longer here. Okay, so there's a lot wrong with the film. However, and this is a pretty big however, when the film gets going, it really gets going. There are two major set pieces this time around in terms of stunts. And basically the entire Act 2 and 3 are designed around them. And those two set pieces are absolutely incredible. Both had me sweating, both had me on the edge of my seat. Both were spectacular cinema to experience on the IMAX screen. And I think it's safe to say both are instantly going to become one of the most memorable stunts in the history of cinema. There was talk about the Film Academy about adding a new category at the Oscars for Best Stunt Work. And if it's added this year already, I honestly don't see any other movie taking it from The Final Reckoning. Cruise is just too good at this stuff. And to see him diving across a submarine and then hanging off the wings of a plane at 62 bloody years old is insane. It's completely insane. In general though, once the movie starts its second act, it becomes rather solid. Time flies by really quick and you start to ignore all the nonsense of the plot and the silly flashbacks and the Tom Cruise jerk-offs, because you're just having fun. And I might also add, some of the scenes made me think, there's no way he survived that. He should be dead in real life. But since the movie is called Mission Impossible, I think it's fair to give it a little bit of leeway, a little bit more suspension of disbelief, and I was fine with all the wild stuff. Cinematography is generally very good. Editing is fantastic in Act 2 and 3, especially some of the fight scenes which intercut between different locations. Very well done. But at the same time, editing is terrible in Act 1 when we keep jumping between the flashbacks and so on. No complaints about performances, everyone is doing their job. And especially when Tramel Tillman showed up, Mr. Milchick from Severance, I was grinning all the way through. He has an amazing entrance and then steals away all the scenes he is in. Great screen presence, love to see him here. So, if I was to sum this up somehow, this is a very uneven, flawed film, but it is sort of easy to ignore its shortcomings once it locks into gear and does what it's designed to do. The stunt work is some of the best ever, but as an entire movie, I would say it's definitely not the best in the franchise. I think my favorite is still Rogue Nation, but in general, that three-way punch of Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and Fallout, they have all set a very high standard that I think the last two movies don't quite reach. In any case, it's an acceptably good send-off for the franchise, although with the way it ends, it almost feels like nobody wanted to commit to this actually being the last movie for sure. They leave things very open for another sequel, should they decide to make one. Decent film, worth checking out, but if you do, just be sure to do it on the biggest screen possible, because it is certainly one of those movies which have to be seen at a proper theater.